Without any further delay, I would actually like to open the stage for our wonderful speaker, Yang Hai Wang. Yang Hai is a senior client partner of BDC Advisory Services. She started her work with BDC in 2014 as an authorized network business consultant after having cultivated her leadership, management, and business experience at IBM for 30 years. She has successfully the market a wide variety of products and solutions ranging from computer hardware, machinery, software, and services. She is also an entrepreneur with family businesses for over decades. Her areas of expertise include business strategy, general business management, marketing and sales management, information technology, product development, and market launch. She has a passion in sharing her experience with small and medium enterprises and help entrepreneurs taking their business to the next level. Yanghai, it is an absolute pleasure having you here to facilitate this workshop, and I flip the mic over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Alina. Hello, everyone. It's such a great pleasure to be part of this initiative organized from your university White Space as well as Markham Small Business Center. A little bit, today's subject, we're going to talk about how to write a winning business plan. Plan in our life every day, even when we go out for a trip, we probably want to plan ahead, right? So a little bit about background, Alina already alluded to. I've been dealing with this business plan since day one when I joined with IBM. We deal with product development plan and a marketing plan, sales plan, management operations plan. And then after I retired from IBM, so I was working with Center of Entrepreneurship to help startups there as well. I did that work for about 2 years over there, starting out as part-time and then kind of evolved too. So help out quite a bit of small startups back then. And everybody starts with a business plan. So before we really get into a business plan, it's a living document for a business. Whether or not they were a startup, they were ongoing business, or about to start up a business or thinking of starting up a business. So meanwhile, I'm just wondering if we could take a poll for the audience here. We have 3 questions, basically. Are you thinking of starting up a business? Are you a startup or you are already running an existing business? I'm kind of curious to see the results. My experience with business plans, we help startups, and even in BDC through my 10 years, including my network delivering time, probably I dealt with 1,000 businesses if I count them, and every year I had about 50 active projects going on. So this is interesting. We have quite a few thinking of starting a business. That's good. We have a few startups. We have a couple, 20%, 14 now, who is already running a business. So when I discuss the topics, and hopefully I can address all those needs, because frankly, different stages of a business, they will have different requirements. Thank you so much. It's good to know the results. So if we could move to the next page, we're going to talk about what we're going to cover today. If you could take the poll, maybe close the poll. Yeah, okay, so the agenda we're going to talk about today, who we are. I currently work for BDC, and then I'm going to introduce a little bit of what we do, what's our missions here, and I'm going to talk about why do we need a business plan for all the 3 sectors, the segments. We talk about the 3 segments, thinking of starting a business at a startup time, and also running a business currently. Why do we need that? And then how do we prepare the right business plan? So next page. First of all, who is BDC, right? So BDC really means Business Development Bank of Canada. We are a Crown corporation. So for the federal government, across the country, we have about more than 100 business centers. There is one in Markham, right at Birchmount and Highway 7. Overall, we had close to 26 employees now. When this deck was done, this page was done was sometime 2 years ago during COVID. So across the country, we already serviced more than 72,000 entrepreneurs. So our sole mission from the government is really to help small business taking the business to the next level across Canada. That's our sole mission. So in terms of the business size, most of our clients, they have been existing business for more than maybe from startup, depending on where they are, to ongoing. So really the startups that could be handled by places like Markham Small Business Center, Futurepreneurship, other organizations, even York University, U of T, Centennial, even city of Toronto, they have a lot of places to help startups. But basically, that's our mission. So the next page, please. Then services we offer, basically, we are a bank. We are the only bank in Canada that's exclusively dedicated to entrepreneurs. So we don't do personal banking, for example. We don't have line of credit. We don't have your visa processing accounts. The key functions we have is financing. Our financing is all term loans, financial term loans. So it's all commercial term loans. We finance equipment for ITs, for expansion. So basically, we are a cash lender. I'm very pleased that I have a couple of colleagues also in the call. So Brad, all the account manager, there are a couple of them, I guess they haven't signed up yet, but for the BDC employees in this meeting, if you could put your name, your contact information on the chat so people can locate you, that would be great. So in terms of financing, we have another division we call the growth transition. Basically, that's dealing with venture funds, or we call it growth transition. So when business, they need to purchase another business, or for management buyout or special fast growth initiative, that's what we are there for. I am from the advisory services side. So in advisory services, within BDC, we had about 200 full-time employees, but most of them are of different areas of specialties. So we have consultants specializing in business strategy. We have people specializing in marketing. Even within marketing, it's very specialized, from market research to build your brands, digital marketing, which is very hot nowadays, to e-commerce, and also to sales. How do you manage a sales team? Sales is very different from marketing, right? Marketing is to generate leads. Sales is really how do you close that deal? And we also have a team of professionals in operation efficiency. So when I talk about 200 people full-time, but we also have a network consulting. I started BDC on the network consulting side. So what we do is basically we deliver the projects that's formed and be managed through BDC's methodology. So most of the consultants, they all have many years of experience in the industry and also in what they do to make a living for more than 20 years also. So I talk about business operation. So we have engineers, and many of them are Six Sigma, Black Belt. We help companies to streamline their businesses, even to how to lay out warehouse for the most efficient way to optimize their workstations. And we have another group helping clients to select the right system, technology. Most of the companies, small business, they don't have their own IT. So we have a specific system selection program, a team of technology specialists to help small business identify the right technology. And also we have a team specialized in ISO certification. ISO 9000 nowadays with ESG environmental 14,000. I just got that today. Cybersecurity that's coming along, and also all the food processing company, GFSI, HACCP type of thing. So it's really across the board in terms of our specialty. One thing I can tell you we don't do, which is law. We don't give legal advice. We are not lawyers, and we are also not accountants. But the other HR, we have HR consultants. So basically across most of the business management functions. So that's what we do. Next page. Now, jumping into our key subject, why do we need a business plan? Next page. So as many of you, probably you go travel or you do dinner plans with your family. If you plan ahead, think about the experience, even though if you go to a trip, if you plan ahead, you book your flights ahead of time, you book your hotels. If you look at the areas that you want to visit, you plan ahead, your visit will be smoother or will be more effective. Think about that, all right? So same as writing a business plan. What is a business plan? Business plan is basically you document who you are. Many times when we think of starting a business, even in the business, where are we? Like who we are. Are we a business of manufacturing or distributor or both? Be both? Like, create some clarity about your own identity because it's important. That will post your message to the marketplace. So who you are. You know, when we talk about elevator pitch, when you see somebody in the elevator, by the time you go to the 10th floor, you are able to give them a very brief description of who you are. So that's basically, you need to really understand who you are, what do you do, the kind of products and services that you offer, what do you do, what's your mission? Let's say you sell stationery. I used to have a company that sells stationeries. What do we do? What's our mission? And who is our target audience? It's not everyone. If you say, oh, my product can fit everyone, not true. Even when I was doing stationery products at one point in time, it's very targeted to a specific group. So think it through. And how do you do it? How do you run your business? And we're going to get into a little bit more detail. How do you run your operations, your logistics? How do you do sales? How do you do your marketing? How do you manage people? How many people do you need? What kind of financial system, management system you need to put in place? What kind of risk? And more importantly, with a business plan, you are there to make a money. Right? You might not, some of the time, I might not be profitable. We're likely to be profitable if you choose not to, but at least you have to make yourself sustainable. So next page. As I say, define a clear path, a roadmap. It's like your any trip. If you plan ahead, you will mitigate your risk. In a business, it's important that you kind of look forward. Where do you want the company to be, right? What is your mission? Sometimes we get busy. We are too much in the business and we kind of lose sight of what our end goal is. So it's important that even when you start the business, say, what's my vision? And what is my mission? What do I want to achieve through in this business? And who is my target audience? Let's say for clothing, just casually, right? There were different types of clothing. Who are you targeting? What's the market segment you are targeting? It's not one size fits all. It's very important that you narrow down the unique value proposition of your own product, the products you are offering, and what's the right fit of your target audience. What does your target audience want? What's the right fit? And the next thing is, what is your unique value proposition? Basically, I say, why you versus somebody else in the market? There are a lot of people offering the same thing. What's so unique about what you offer that I have to go about you, that I have to buy from you versus I buy it from your competitor? So you need to think through those, right? Market positioning versus your competitor. As again, it's the why you. How do you compare somebody? Are you comparing price? Not everything is just on price. It's the value you provide to the customer at the end of the day, right? And then what are the potential risks and challenges? Next page. And the next thing is, of course, we need to ensure financially it's sustainable. So for putting a plan together, writing something, you remember sometimes, I don't know about you, sometimes in the evening when you think, oh, I haven't done this, I haven't done this. But if you put them down, it gives you so much clarity. Oh, it's not as hard as what you think it is. Once you write them down, it's very different. That many people say, do you have a strategy? Do you have a plan? Oh, it's in my head, but not until you write them down. Even for financial projections, if you're getting into the nitty-gritty details about how you're going to make profit, what is your margin, what is your cost of doing this business? Your cost includes also your salary too, right? Everything. So you got to get into a level of granularity to give you the true picture. Another thing is cash flow, right? You got to have a cash flow. You have to know what is your projected cash flow is like in the coming weeks, so you can plan better. Planning is all about mitigating the risk. So that way you can allow you some time to deal with emergencies. And what's your break-even point, right? When you introduce a new product, there's efforts you have to put in, right? And there's costs associated with it. What kind of revenue do you generate out of this product by month, by year? Ideally, by account, if you have customer accounts, specific accounts, because even for you to sell into those accounts takes time. We call them selling cycle. How long it's going to take you to sell your products to Walmart? It could be a year or two, depending on your contact, depending on their procurement process, depending on your sales process. There's a lot of other dependencies on it. So it's very important that you want to decide upfront, whatever the business or a new product line you are going to introduce, it makes financial sense, right? So next page. So once we have things documented, as I say, that it gives you clarity, right? If we know what our vision is, what our end goal is, sometimes we might get derailed, distracted by some fires, by some other activities, and we're busy. You know, I used to have a restaurant at one point in time. So when my friends come to visit, it's a banker come to visit, happened to be my friend, and then we were having lunch. I was about to treat them, and then there's a water breakage in the kitchen. That's an emergency. Do I deal with that? Yes, I have to go and deal with them. But everything else, if you have a system in place, you don't have to worry about the rest. But there will be some emergencies that you have to deal with. I think my point here is in business, it's normal. You got distracted. But it's important that every now and then you sit back, look at your angle, look at your vision, say, am I doing the right thing? It's to reflect back, right? And also a business plan, your angle, it could change too. You know, COVID hit. How many people had to pivot, right? The companies that pivot fast, they can adopt and they can survive. Some of the companies who were kind of delay the process and they might not be able to survive, or they don't make the money that they expected. So it's important that you document. So that kind of at least double check you are on the right path. So a business plan, it's supposed to be updated every year. Even you're a startup or you're running your business, update that every year because things change. We cannot be complacent, right? If we just say, oh, we developed this plan 2 years ago. No, but we need to change that every year. You know, some of the executives, corporate executives, Bill Gates used to every year, he had to take a couple of days off in his cottage, off everybody else, not answering phone calls, just to reflect and review what he has done in the past year, how they move forward. Every big company, successful company, they renew their business plan every year. And then as you go along, they call them strategic plan, but most of the components are very similar. So you need to review that. Once you pivot to something else, you pick up another product, a new customer, put them in, update them. Once you have the foundation, you write it once. Next round, next year, it's just to update them. It's not such a big task because majority of the direction, it's already documented, right? And the next thing is, if you need, next page, many startups.
Sorry, Yangai, there's a question in the chat. Do
Yeah.
you want to take it now or?
Yes, take
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Perfect. So this is a question about the previous slide. Leila is asking, when the company is new, how should they provide the cash flow or work out the cash flow for the business plan?
Good question. Yeah, we call it a pro forma. You kind of do a prediction, right? So when you say, I have a product A, or have some new products, when do you expect sales will come in? Sales is not when you think, like you think about how long it's going to take you to sell this product. So let's say, I don't know, use, give me some example, maybe a textbook, notebook, okay? Or portfolio, let's say portfolio covers. Okay, it used to be part of my portfolio too, my products that I offer at one point in time. Portfolio product. Who is your target audience? Is it student? How long is it going to take you to take them to the market? And when it's their buying time, right? At that time, it was back to school sale. So I had to catch maybe stuff in Business Depot or July, around July time. But when are you going to, you count it backwards about your sales process, how long it's going to take, when are you going to have the first payment from your client, right? And then what is your daily cost? You should be able to measure if you're renting an office, how many people you are hiring, right? Your salary, what is utilities, TMIs. So you should be able to put them in. I'm going to, at the end of this presentation, I will give you a couple of websites, but there is one template in BDC's website that tells you how to project cash flow. Okay, how do you do pro forma? So
I have a question regarding previous page. How communicate with the lender or who the person who want to provide funding for our project? How present market validation? So the cash flow you explain how to fill out, but how prove and how convince the lender my product has a valid market? How you accept?
Good question. First of all, you have to convince yourself, right? Lender, it's one of, it could be your part of presentation. You can go to page, next page actually, that will talk about lenders, financing. When you talk about how do you convince the lender, first of all, you know, when you introduce a new product, right? What is your product? If you can say, Layla, what is your product? Let's use your product as an example. Like, what is the market demand for that product? There's macro view and there's local view. How long it's going to take you to take this product to the market? Okay, what about you? You just, what is the product? What is your product?
Oh, my product is decorative aquarium. Is it new? Is it kind of decorative aquarium? And Usually it's used in entertainment and tourism attraction industry.
Okay. First of all, you have to know who is your target audience, who is buying your product, how often, how much they're going to buy your product. Do an
Yes.
estimate, right? You have to, that's what market demand is. So what is the market for that product? What is your selling cycle? So that's why market research is very important. Whenever we introduce a new product, you should know what the macro environment is. So that's why marketing, they have a function. The first function is market research. When people introduce new products, you have to see who's your target audience. How big is that opportunity for you? Let's say the opportunity is 10 million. What is your share within that opportunity? How many players? You figure out the competitor, right? Even to convince either your investor or lender or banks, whoever, even angel investors, that you need to configure, say, what is my share? That's when we talk about competitive advantage, right? Your value proposition, the couple of points I talked about earlier, that's what it is.
Yes.
So why do we need to do what? The last point is to get financial support. Not only financial, but other support from other resources, from your potential customers. When you have a good business plan, when you present it to your clients, they could be it helps you to build your credibility, maybe more convincible. It has to represent the truth though, right? And then also your potential suppliers too. If they know, you know what you're going, you know where you're going, they know how you are going to run your business, most likely they have a tendency to work with you. It's also important you have the right suppliers aligned too, right? So that's why we talk about why we need a business plan, whether it's for new business or the existing business. So the next thing, go to next page. We're going to go through how do we do the right business plan, a winning business plan. Next page. Yeah, every business plan, ideally, you should have an executive summary. Executive summary is an overview of your business, your product lines, products or services, or your offerings. How do you take them to the market? What kind of your financial numbers are you looking for? What kind of growth rate you are looking for? And at the end, what are you looking for your audience? Okay, if you're investing, present it to the investor. How much are you looking for? What's your return on investment? So it's a very quick, a page and a half, maybe no more than 2 pages, executive summary of your whole business plan, basically. Next page. So we're going to get into a little bit more detail about some of the details in your business plan. All right. First of all, your business overview. It should have a brief description of your business. What does your business do? Right? Who is your target audience? Your products and services? You want to be as detailed as possible and also identify your unique proposition. Right? Why you? Like answer those questions. Why you versus somebody else? An outline of the market that you're going to target to. Demographic in the market. Who are you targeting? Culture specific, ethnic market, whatever the market you are targeting to. And also talk about other major players in this field, in the market that you're targeting, right? Other major players are your competitors, and your other resources or supporting resources like suppliers, maybe distributors. And then you talk about your company. What is your company's vision? What do you want to accomplish? Your vision, your mission. What is your value? When you have a company, you might have a value. Why are you doing this business, right? And then what do you do? How do you see yourself down the road? What is at least your priorities, your direction? How fast do you want to grow your company? And some of the compliances, you might want to articulate them too, especially some of the areas that need compliance like food, some of the food processing. They might need hazard. Do you have the license? Yeah. When somebody is trying to manufacture shampoo, do they have the license? So some of those logistics, you want to figure them out too.
And another question, the number of the team is important. It is criteria for financing.
The team is very important. I will talk about that later in my HR plan. So this is just, yes, the team is very important. I will talk about them in the later pages as well. But this one is just the overall business overview. And the next thing is, next page. I talk about marketing and sales plan. As I say, marketing is very different than sales, right? Marketing is to talk about market research, what your market is, what kind of brand, what kind of value proposition that you are offering, how is your competitor, how do you take this to the market, what is your branding, why you? I always ask why you versus anybody else, right? And your unique value proposition. What differentiates you from your competitor? So it's important to do those. And so how do you get out there? So in the real business world, we talk about your website nowadays, digital, right? What kind of message? Depending your objective of the website. Some people just say, hey, I just want to be out there when people Google it. They search keywords. For every little those pieces, there were some special details that you need to pay attention to. Like if you put on a website, what kind of keywords do you want to put in there? So when people Google it, they can find you right away. Do you want to do business through the web e-commerce? If no, what's the objective? You want to drive them to somewhere, to pick up the phone to call you, or to click a button, or go to the stores you refer them to, drive traffic to something. So it was always a call to action for every website, right? Depending on the objective of your website. Sales is very different. Sales is people, it could be mostly on the street other than e-commerce. The traditional ones is feet on the street, maybe talking to the customers, relationship building, and really close that deal. Let's say if you work with Walmart, somebody has to go in and meet the different people in Walmart, understand their organization, understand how do you sell. Every product, there is a specific defined sales channel. Some of them go through, if it's B2C, it's consumer. If it's B2B, you need to understand that company that you are targeting, that those companies, the purchasing behavior. So it's important to understand what your sales channel is, right? So when you build your forecast, it's really based on your sales plan. Your sales plan is, what is my revenue target for year 1, year 2? And we talk about a financial analysis, right? What's the break-even point? It's important that you understand that. So that will come out from your sales plan. What is your selling cycle? How long it's going to take to sell the product, to get the revenue at the break-even point? And how do you navigate that? And then you can build that into your sales forecast. And that will come to as part of the input for your forecast, right? As a part of your financial data. Next page. So here is just one example. One of the clients, next page. Yeah, one of the clients, they think sales is going to happen overnight. It's going to take longer. It was interesting when I was working for as a business advisor in Center of Entrepreneurship in Centennial. All I did is startups at that time. I see 2 common issues there. One is people don't know how to sell. They think product's going to sell. It's going to be fast. Because that program we are not only helping to create a business plan, but also follow them for 10 months after to see if they're really doing well. So we basically provide advisory consulting services, kind of coach them through that 10 months process. That was a special program back then. But basically, it's going to take time to sell, right? So really, the more detail you get into to understand how people purchase your product and how do you take them out to the market, the better it is for your client. Okay, next page.
Yang Hai, there are a couple of questions in the chat.
Sure, yes.
Okay, let me just scroll up a bit. Okay, so Kareem's asking, for a startup, when should you start writing the business plan, as you may still be in the exploration mode and things may change based on feedback from potential customers?
Good question. You should put down the template right away, and you can fill out the blanks, right? Change them. At least once you have gone through the first round, there's a template in BDC's website. It's free. You can download it. There are a lot of tools in BDC's website. You can download them. You just, if you don't have the answer at the time, let's say you don't know the marketing, how you're going to take it, your products, your question mark, you write down as much as you can first round. Second round, come back and change them. You write down as much as you can, even the template, right? The financial projection template, put as much down as you can. Even when you were thinking, that's why when you were thinking, it's good to write down, especially when you start up a business. It's like, who are you? Why do you want to do this? What is your vision? It's important. Because later on you might find, oh, whatever I did, my experience at the time when I was helping Centennial's students doing business plan and then follow up on them, many of them do not last because they cannot follow what they say they want to do. Things change. Many of them don't go back, and then they find it's much easier to be an employee than be your own boss, to be frank with you. All right. When you are the owner of the business, all the buck stops with you. When you are working for somebody else somewhere set up a structure. You are just one of the people executing. You have a structure supporting you. What's next question?
Sam has a question. How would someone know what their market share is if they are just starting out?
Go to, you do as much as you can to do market research. If you want, ideally, there are many different ways, right? Some people will buy market research report. Nowadays, Google, you can find a lot of information on Google. I have a client, it was interesting that they were selling to, they do Japanese, they were selling to Japanese restaurants. And one of the consultants just do a Google search, and he knows exactly how many of them in Canada, roughly. Like how many of them in Canada, how many in Vancouver, how many in Toronto. So you will kind of, nutshell, have a bigger picture. Ideally, the more market research you do, more detailed, the better it is for you. So see what's in ChatGPT, or ChatGPT might not be accurate, but do as much as you can. Also, Stats Canada, it provides a lot of demographic information. And Industry Canada, go to Industry Canada, they will, because I used to do that when I had my other business, say how many business, they all by NESCO, how many business in this particular industry. So they will normally will have a generic view on that.
That's a great resource. Kareem has a couple of other questions. His first question is, how do you know when you have a solid plan, especially if you're testing the market? That's his first question. The second is, business plans are sometimes a theoretical exercise and may not be how things plan out in reality. That's more of a statement.
Okay, let's deal with the question then, right? The question is, can you repeat that again?
How do you know when you have a solid plan, especially if you are testing the market?
Well, if you have all those components that I talk about today, you have a majority of your content. They will not be 100%, but at least you think through from all those key functions. Think every business, they have 5 key components, okay? There's financial, there's marketing, there's production, and some of them have operations, and there is HR and sales. So think about it. If you cover those area and then you have enough details, that means you think it through. That would be a solid plan. If you just make things up, that's not a solid plan. You are trying to satisfy somebody's ask. Make sense? Next
And,
page.
and to the, sorry, do you want to continue with the questions or do you want to?
Oh, sure. Why don't we, the statement, you think it's a theoretic plan? It's a theoretical plan if you treat that as a theoretical plan. You put it on the shelf, not looking at it, not putting your true statements in there. But if you use that as a living document, that's a living document. That becomes your blueprint. So it depends on how you deal with it. My recommendations, use that as a living document. Update that every few months, every quarter. That will not be a living document. Your cash flow projection should be updated every few weeks or every day, ideally. Right? Other questions on before we move on to operation?
Sure. So Meena has a question. My product is a toy for children, can be used by teachers and parents to play and teach children too. Who would be my target audience?
That's a good question. Depends. Depends. What kind of tool do you want to sell it to teachers, or it's the kids right away, directly to the kids? Like, who do you want to attract? Do you want the parents to buy? Is parents your target audience, or are the teachers your target audience, or it's just the kids? Right? Be very clear. Product, you have to, that's why we call it customer journey. It's not what you think. It's what the clients think, what your target audience, from their perspective, how do they view your product? If your product is for education, is it for the kids? I don't know. I don't know the details. But what I mean is just turn your perspective from the client perspective. It's not what you think. At one point in time in IBM, I used to be in software development, used to be a developer. I wrote the most, I would say, sophisticated software compiler. I used to do compilers, and I got a big plan. It's still here. I got a development award. It's called a software engineering design language. And guess what? At the end of the day, we only have 1 or 2 customers worldwide using it. That's when I started to move to marketing, because I want to know what the customer wants before I develop a product. It's not what you want. I have seen enough people in my IBM days, my even ex-colleagues, they came from a technical, especially technical guys, right? Think about, it's natural. We think of products first and then see who's going to buy it, who's the right fit. It should be the other way around. What the market wants first, and then how we satisfy the market.
That's amazing. That's so well said. And Meena, just building on that, next week we're actually tackling this topic of customer discovery. So make sure you register for that workshop as well. And one last question before we move on. Junaid is asking, can there be more than one target audience category?
Yes, yes. But you have to define, like, there were different channels too. How do you sell, right? There were different channels too. It could be direct sales, direct to the B2B, or direct to the consumer, or you through channels, through distributors, and distributors sell it to resellers. So every product, there is always a phenomenon that there is always an industry norm of how people sell, how people purchase. Again, it goes back to your customer. How do they buy? So that's how there were different channels. There was, we call it channel, which is through selling through distributors or resellers. You can do direct. Nowadays, e-commerce is B2C, direct, or you can do B2B, right? So it depends on how you want the product to get to your target audience hands.
Perfect. I think Yanghai, we're good to continue. There are questions popping in the chat, but we'll get to those a bit later.
Okay, thank you. So the next thing we talk about marketing plan, we talk about sales plan. The next thing is really operations plan. It's really making things happen, the logistics, the behind the scenes, the back office, the people, things that people don't see, right? Your warehouse, also your location. There's a lot of details behind how do you make things like your IT, how do you manage your inventory, how do you do your production if you're a manufacturer. So it's important that you sort those things out, think it through. That's why I always say write them down, write them down, write them down. Why do you write them down? So it provides clarity. So I guess I'm repeating myself now of what we talk about, but it's important once you write them down, you say, oh yeah, okay, this is the office, this is a location, and how do we handle the logistics when people place orders? How are you going to ship them? Right? Think those through, right? If you are doing B2C e-commerce, the 3PL or whatever, how do you use your own delivery? Think those things through. And I think the whole thing is of doing a plan is being proactive rather than reactive. Right? Suppliers, start to think, who is your potential supplier? Who is your potential partners too? Think about those partners and technology. What kind of technology are you going to use? Everything comes within a budget too. They all contribute to your budget. At the end, they will contribute to your financials. So next page. Yeah, so here's another story. It's not a interesting, it's not a BDC client, but it is a corporate CEO who used to manage multinational construction companies in their own home with 7 subsidiaries. So now they come to Canada as new immigrants. They open up a Japanese store, Japanese restaurant, and they didn't know much about Japanese food. They think they have a lot of experience, the management experience they brought with them. But what happened is they didn't know Canada enough, well enough. They didn't do enough research, homework. They find the wrong location. And because they are not the expert in the field, they had to hire somebody, and they miss the HR component, right? Because they have to learn the culture, how to manage people here in Canada. Managing people here, there are compliances, labor laws, which is very different than what they were from, right? And they have no other support. Eventually, they end up closing the business. Next page. So that leads us to the next point, HR. So somebody already mentioned your team is important. Yes, 100%. Your organization is important. Key management is important. Who is your manager? Who is your partners? How are you going to manage people? So it's very important from the get-go, depending on the size of the business too. You understand the labor requirements, understand the compliances, health and safety, all this other stuff that's to manage people. When you really hire employees, they need to have employee manuals. You have to learn how to recruit people, how to retain, especially nowadays, if there's a shortage of labor. How do you retain good people that you want to retain, right? And certain work, should you subcontract out or should you contain them within? So there's a lot of decisions to make. So it's important that you consider those components as well. So HR, it's important. That's another area that I would say pay attention to. So next page, maybe you can skip this page because of the culture. Like this is a successful case where the owner, they figure out how to manage people, right? They have the profit sharing plan. They hire some HR specialists to help them establish this HR management system. I ran into a lot of smaller companies in my earlier days with BDC at that time. Right now, I basically handle companies of more than 5 million, but prior to that, that's based on BDC's current segmentation. But prior to that, I can do anything for any sizes, help business of any sizes. I've seen a lot of smaller or micro businesses. They started a business, they hired maybe the family, they don't have employee manual. As they expand, and trouble comes, right? All you need is one employee. They go to Ministry of Labor and give you, rightly or wrongly, you might not be wrong, but for you have to go through that process to deal with all this, right? If you have the employees manual, you have the right letter of offer when you fire them, you have the right system in place, it will mitigate those risks. Next. So when we come down all of those, it comes down to projections, your financial plan. We talk about sales projections. You go through your sales cycle, when you're going to get your first deal, second deal, how much it is, variable costs, fixed costs, all those fixed costs, your lighting, your facilities, those variable costs, your income statement, pro forma, monthly cash flow forecast. Very important, especially when you are dealing with banks or lenders or investors. Investors wants to know all those information as well. Okay. Any questions at this point in time? I'm going to pause.
Yes, so there is a question in the chat.
Yeah.
Fiza has a question. I'm planning to start my import-export business. I have hair cutting scissors, sportswear stuff like leggings, sports bra, shorts, hoodies, sweatshirts. As you said, first know your product and then find out who is going to buy. My interest is for B2B. What are your suggestions? How should I start for the market approach?
Well, I don't have a silver bullet. First of all, we need a lot more time together to do a deep dive on what's so unique about your product. At the end of the day, you can use right now just very generic, right? It's high level. I don't know anything. Retail. That's the first reaction. Maybe B2C, e-commerce. I don't know. You can go through distribution depending on your volume, depending on how, again, it goes back how you want to run the business. Do you want the trouble of stocking, inventory management, doing the logistics audits, or you don't want the trouble? It's not just a one sentence statement. At the end, we have to know all these other components that we talk about, right? How do you want to run this business? Who is your target audience? Okay, how do we get to those? What's so unique about your product versus your competition? If we look at that, let's take a look at that. So there's a lot more work. It takes work. When I was helping Centennial, the Center of Entrepreneurship for those startups, normally it takes about 6 weeks to develop a business plan. But even current, we have some existing business here. I also see some of our clients here, even for us to update with a strategic plan, depending on the reaction, the interchange, interface, and how busy people are. It also takes a good 6 to maybe 2 months. Some of them even takes half year, depending on the complexity. Some of them are more complex. But simple case, you need to think through. There was a lot of detail, right? We talk about, right? How do you want to operate? It's not just a product. It's how do you want to operate it? There's a lot more detail behind it. Make sense? Any other questions?
Yeah, so Sam has a question. Are there templates for the manual, such as employee manual for different industries if you're just starting your business?
Good question. I'm not sure. I know BDC, we do have advisory services to create employee manual because it's specific to your company. Vacation days or policies are different. So it's custom templates. You can try Google. I'm not sure. There might be some generic ones, but you have to adopt that to your own need. Every employee, every post, right? Every job description is different. It's unique to that particular company.
Got it. And then Al is asking, would you kindly be able to provide useful resources for each section to assist us to build a business plan?
there is as I say, right now my daytime job is really for existing business 5 million, but we do build business plan. Right now we don't in BDC. Most of our clients are in the business for a year and above. We do have a couple of account managers here. I know I think they already put their name there. Brad is here, Nicole is there, right? Calvin. We do for the startup, for the small business, we do have some advisory services like simple HR programs at $7,500 per project for maybe for the smaller companies. But BDC, we don't really work on the startups. I think there are a lot of organizations that work on startup, Futurepreneur, right? And City of Markham, City of Enterprise Toronto. There are so many of them. Alina, maybe you can put those together for
Yeah, absolutely. I would also say that even like BDC's template for business plan is pretty well detailed. They also do amazing blogs detailing how to write and how to write that business plan. So that's worth checking out. But like Yanghai said, I can send you material from Futurepreneur, Markham Small Business Center as well. Another question.
Yeah.
I have a business plan that I have developed and would like to get some feedback. So should they contact BDC for a consultation then?
We depends on what's the purpose. Is it for lending, for financing?
So Kareem, I would suggest Brad had dropped in his email, so maybe reach out to Brad, or you could also do an idea consultation with YSpace, and we can probably see, depending on what your business is, we can provide curated resources to you. Yanhai, those were some of the questions in the chat. I think we can continue.
All right. So the next page then. Go to the next page. So the key components are pretty much covered. Moving forward, so there's some appendix, those are the useful information, right? About market studies, bios of your management team. It's always important, especially if you're looking for investors. Who is your management team? What's their credential, right? Bios. And ideally, if your existing business, some of the key customers and customer references that you have. And next page. So what are they looking for when we talk about lenders, right? A clear structure, short document that covers all the areas I just talked about, right? And credible research. It's important that all the information you provide is to your best, the truth information. I have seen people when say, oh, what do you need? You need an invoice? I'll give you an invoice. But that's not the right audience. We know it's not real. Be truthful to yourself, right? Whatever the information, have evidence. So also the proof of your skills, be realistic, right? Cash flow, be realistic, because the bankers are all business people. Investors are all business people. They know how to read business plans. They know how to read financials. So they will have the right judgment. Next. So here are some of the available tools, right? Futurepreneur, as I said many times, bdc.ca. Alina can also provide some. There are some of the general information provided by levels of government, from regional, municipal, federal, different organizations. There are a lot of free tools. The business plan template in BDC is free. If you go to tools and articles, there are a lot of ebooks for you to learn. There's ebooks on e-marketing, ebooks on technology, financial, monitoring your business. So there are a lot of information on the BDC website. Any other questions?
All right. Do you offer financing to purchase existing businesses?
Yes, we do. Yes, that's what we call the transition. Yes, we do. So you can contact one of our account manager. Brad is here. Kelvin is here too as well. Nicole. We have a couple of account managers here. Any other question?
So we're done with the content and we're open to questions. So please pop in your questions in the chat, or you can also raise your hand and we can take questions.
Yeah, I guess you can close the presentation so we can see the people too.
There you
Now
go.
you can turn on the camera.
All right, so I'm getting a couple of requests for resources. So what's going to happen is tomorrow I'm going to share the recording for this session as well as all the resources. I'm going to compile a document and I'll send that along with the presentation deck that was shared today. So you will get all of that via email tomorrow. I'm also going to drop in my contact information if anybody needs to get in touch with me directly. And
Okay, there is a question on say,
yes.
do you offer financing in real estate? Well, we offer financing when the business needs to buy the real estate facility for their own use, for the business use.
And then Monique is asking, what was the term you use for launching new products?
I think it's better to talk to Brad and the account managers. I'm from the advisory services side. They will decide on the interest rate. They are the best. They are the experts in interest rates and the terms and conditions. So I'm on the business side. It's really how do you manage your business better, and they are the experts in the in the lending terms. So please contact them. If Brad and the BDCS maybe put your email again. Oh, Alina, you can compile them right at the end of this.
Yeah, I'm
And
gonna
everybody
put in
can,
all the contact information and send it over.
okay, and then you can get a copy of this presentation as well. Yeah.
All right, Leslie, to your point about Black entrepreneurs with work permit, get in touch with me. I will put you in contact with the Black Entrepreneurship Alliance, and they can certainly look into that for you. All right, I'm just checking. Are there any other resources, places where we can receive grants? So, Mina, there's a website called Pocketed. And you go on Pocketed, you select the industry, and it gives you a list of all the grants that are available. We are part of Founder Fundamentals. We're also doing a session on funding and government incentives. So make sure to register for that workshop as well. Just to confirm, will sessions continue from 6 to 7? The sessions are planned for 6 to 8, keeping in mind question answer sessions as well. So each workshop will vary, but will be within the 6 to 8 window. Any more questions regarding the business
Yes,
plan?
Alina, not regarding business plan, regarding this financing, it means that it has an interest rate, correct?
Oh yeah. Yes.
And may I know what is the range of interest rate?
I think the best way to talk to the account managers in general, our interest rate, it depends on the situation. I think the best way is depending on how much your situation, how your business plan work, and then talk. They can give you a specific answer.
Okay.
I'm not going to take over their job.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So Brad, Calvin, and Nicole, you later on, Alina can put their emails in the messaging that you send out. They can contact the account managers directly.
Yep, absolutely. I'm just going to ask if there are any last minute burning questions. All good. Well, I think they're still mulling over all that you've shared with them, Yang Hai. They're still going over the content. So if there are any, so a lot of questions about funding. So maybe,
Funding, I think the account managers are
yeah, maybe
people
if,
to deal with. Or we can put, Brad, are you there? Why don't you say a few words about financing in nutshell? Are you there?
Yeah, thanks, Yang. Hi. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, so I mean, for us, I'm an account manager on the Ontario tech team, so we essentially finance, SMEs that are in the tech space. So I guess a little bit about us in terms of financing. We, as Yang Hai has mentioned earlier, we essentially provide non-dilutive financing through term loans. Now I know there are a lot of questions in regards to interest rates, right? And I wish I could give you an answer to what the interest rate would be, but we really just price through risk. So it would really depend on several factors such as the type of industry that you're in, how long you've been in the industry for, how's the company doing financially, as well as the credit score of the main founders.
Okay. So thank you, Brad. We also have Calvin. If you could turn on the camera, say hello to everyone. If you have any additional words, you are on mute right now.
Hey everybody, nice to meet everyone here today, and thank you, Yang Hai, for the presentation. Yeah, just to echo forward, there's a lot of things that we can put into factor for what we do and for how we do financing. It's going to be a very long conversation if we discuss everyone's cases right off the spot. So it's best that if anyone do have questions for us, we work for the Entrepreneur Center at BDC. So feel free to reach out to me or Nicole, and we will definitely answer all your questions for you individually.
There you go. All the tough questions go to Kelvin. I just take the easy ones.
well, on that note, there is a question for you as well, Yang Hai.
Okay.
What did you explain earlier about inventory roles for a business management job role? Can you explain, please?
Inventory, that's another hour of conversation, right? Depends on how you do it. So inventory, depending on the situation, if existing business, they could have normally it should be managed by the computer IT, a software, right? There are softwares out there who, depending on how many skills you are carrying, I have clients who deal with thousands of skills, and then they have to use an inventory management system. So there are many techniques of dealing with inventory. So that's another deep subject. I would say go to BDC website. If you have a business specific requirements on it, you can email me, and then we can discuss further.
Amazing. And Tuba has their hand raised. So if you would like to unmute and ask your question.
How do you find market
Thank
share?
you very much.
Do your best. Market report. That's why many companies, they have somebody specialized in just market research. Sometimes you buy reports and then you do estimate, see who the competitors are. There are many different ways you can do it. You can do it systematically, and you can do it just based on your best effort. But you got to understand the competitor before you go into the market.
Hi there. This is Rosemary. Great presentation, by the way.
Thank
and
you.
I'm wondering, what year were you at IBM before?
What year?
Yeah.
84 to 30 years since 84. So 14, 84 to 14,
I see.
2014. That's where I got my gray hair,
Okay. Because I also used to work there, but with PC division. But my question is, I kind of started talking to someone. What happened was I developed a community app. So this community app is great particularly for new immigrants to find their own community in wherever they live in Canada.
Mm.
So I kind of funded it. I bootstrapped the whole thing. And right now I'm short on funds. So I need money for marketing. But when I asked someone from BDC, my lawyer hooked me up with someone from BDC. He said, "Oh, how much income are you generating now?" I said, "I'm not generating any income yet because we're still trying to introduce it to the market. We
Mm.
want to have a certain number of users before we want to charge for advertising. And so I just need more money for marketing so we can hit that target number." But he said, he cannot entertain me because I have to show at least 250,000 worth of revenue before I can borrow. So if that's the case, can you show me another option of funding or financing where I can really do a marketing, spend that money on marketing, and then come to you later on when I have the X amount of users?
Yeah, unfortunately, BDC really there to help business where they started it, they survived the first year. For you, mostly angel investors, your friends, you do a good business plan and see if you can find some angel investors or family, friends. Maybe go to the banks, charter bank. I don't even know if they will give you. There are some government small business loans. But they also have their terms and conditions as well. So it's many of them will start with their own money or whoever they know in the community. Try to do some fundraising, maybe within the communities you serve.
Thank you.
Right. And Tuba, you have your hand raised, so you can unmute and ask your question.
Thank you very much, Alina. And thank you very much, Wangi, for the presentation. Quite insightful. Thank you very much. My question is around the money service business, which is where I kind of operate. We currently have a general problem with financial institutions because they said we are in high risk sector. So it's difficult for us to even open an account as an MSB, which is a money service business. So our business is more of a cross-border payment and transfer service. And currently, I mean, we already have over 2,000 customers currently, and we do transactions volume over $1 million. But it's difficult for us to even have a regular bank account. And then we're already thinking probably it should be difficult for us to get funding. So from the perspective of BDC, what is your position on such businesses like a money service business in terms of financing and funding?
Well, I'm not sure if I can direct that question to maybe Calvin or Brad. Can one of you respond to that? Otherwise, we probably need to take it offline. Calvin, do you?
Yeah, maybe I can just jump in on it. So for MSB businesses, we just require more due diligence materials for us to kind of figure out what we can do for the financing portion. But it's more complicated than just saying that we can or cannot do. So how I suggest that maybe we can take this offline another time, and maybe meet up so that we can get to understand you and your business and your business model more clearly before we can decide what we can do as a next step.
Yeah, I think it's better if you have a specific situation. Now you got both Brad and Calvin's contact them directly, take it offline. So you, at least your case won't be shared by so many people. You want to keep your privacy as well.
Of course. All right. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I will take it offline. Thank you very much.
Okay. Right.
All right. A lot of questions about funding, which I would say you have the contact information for both Kelvin and Brad. Contact them regarding funding related questions. If you have any questions regarding business plan from Yanghai, we're ready to take those.
Yeah, you take them, maybe send them, and then I will just have another, take it offline. Specific ones. But before you send it to me, make sure you include those components, okay? When I read it, If I talk about it, if you don't include them, I'm not going to read them. Okay. We talk about them today. It's not you don't know. You do know now. You download the BDC template. Think through those items we talk about. No, cryptocurrency, blockchain, no, we don't invest in. We don't look into those. It's a risk for us.
All right.
It's a crown corporation. Right? There are certain things we don't do.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're all good with questions. Before I let everybody go, I just want to quickly share what's up for next week. So next week we have a workshop on customer persona and discovery. This is a great workshop where you can learn about how to understand your customers better and how you can reach out to them in the most effective manner and optimize your sales and growth. So make sure you've registered for this. It's going to be next Tuesday, 6 to 8, same as today. At the beginning of this session, I did share that for tech entrepreneurs who are looking to start you have an idea and you're looking to start your business, our Venture Catalyst program is open for applications. It's basic. It provides one-on-one mentorship, peer support, interactive workshops. We take you from idea to an MVP stage. Applications are open till October 1st, so I'm going to drop in a link to the application in the chat as well, so you can look into this resource as well. For women entrepreneurs, we have the Ella Express program. It's an asynchronous program, self-paced, where you learn about developing a business plan, marketing fundamentals, how to develop a sales funnel, basically setting you up for success, having all the essential building blocks for a successful and sustainable business. So applications are open for this as well. I'm going to drop the application link in the chat shortly. These are some of our programming that is open. Our idea consultations are open all year round. You can find that on our website as well. If there are any questions, I've dropped in my contact information in the chat as well, so you can reach out to me. But I think with this,
Ada question tadi tanong.
Sorry, Michael, do you have a question?
I am so sorry. Apologies.
Oh, no, that is all right. Douglas, the recording will be posted on our YouTube channel. I will also be emailing the link to the recording to you tomorrow in the afternoon, along with all the resources. So look out for an email from Wisespace. I think with this, we're good to conclude the session. Yang Hai, thank you so much for an incredible workshop. This was so valuable. I'm sure the attendees absolutely loved it. They're dropping in lots of thank yous in the chat as well. Really appreciate you taking out the time and the effort for putting together this workshop. A huge shout out to BDC for stepping in and supporting Wisespace. Really appreciate it. Thank you to Markham Small Business Center and to all the amazing attendees. Thank you for the comments, the questions, and the engagement. This was great. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful evening, and let's remain connected throughout the 12 weeks.
Great.